Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Julia and this is my tropical desert oasis. I have an oleander here in this little plastic planter that my mother-in-law gave me, and the plumeria, and a tropicana, and a purslane, and assorted succulent planter there. Another canna and another purslane on the other side there. I recorded these videos on May 2nd, so I'm a little bit behind here. I am currently talking on June 6th on this recording, so I kept putting it off and telling myself I'll do it next week, and here I am. So, yeah, I just wanted to give an update on my backyard. I've done a lot of new things to it, and I'm hoping that the summer won't be so terrible. And yeah, so here I have a little fountain that I made, and I'm just showing all this stuff here is pretty much the same. These little lights, they turn on at night, they're solar. My little signs and cordyline over there with the bamboo, and I have a couple of little planters of succulents here, an ice plant and assorted aloes and sedum there. And I also got this little fishy table from a TJ Maxx in Tucson, Arizona, and the shells, I got those from Goodwill. And there's a little Portulacaria afra that I got a long time ago that I'm just kind of letting it do whatever it wants, and a variegated ginger there. I'm hoping it'll survive out here. While it's in the shade. Looks like it's doing pretty good so far, so we'll see what happens when the real heat comes into Phoenix. And next we have a lantana that this one's been growing pretty slow. And then I have an alstroemeria here, and the lemon tree right above, still kicking strong, and the dog's behind. I took a drip from the lemon tree and gave it to this little plant here, this Peruvian lily, and it's got cool little like variegation of some kind. There's like white inside the flower, so it's white and red. And then here is a Washington Robusta. I've had one of these before in a different location in the backyard, but it died. I don't know what happened to it. So I'm trying this one out to see how it does. I don't know if it gets enough sun, so I'm not sure. Because the palms, the leaves look kind of small. And there is one of my pride and joys. That's what it looked like when I first planted it. The California fan palm. It does absolutely amazing out here in the desert. If I had to guess, this thing is probably about 10 to 12 feet. And I have a Ruellia, Mexican petunia right there. Lots of solar lights in the backyard. You know, because I like to sit outside at night and it's a cool vibe. And there's a lot of little buds on the Ruellia. The flowers seem to only open like in the beginning of the day, and then they all fall off, and then new flowers open the next day, is what I've noticed. Because I don't really know much about this plant, but I see them around a lot, so I figure they survive out here. And I have a little pygmy palm here. It actually hasn't been growing a whole lot, and it looks kind of etiolated. But I think it's because I'm not watering it a lot, and also it's getting more shade with this gazebo in front of it now. So I'm sure it'll be fine. It just needs more water and it'll do okay. They tend to like more shade anyway. And there's that California fan palm again that I mentioned earlier. It's very tall, past the fence line. And I have a Tacoma yellow bells right here. I believe I showed this one in a previous video that I had planted. It hasn't grown too much, but it is growing. I'm trying to be careful not to water it too much because they don't like to be watered a lot. But it is getting more shade, so it's not as big as the other one that I have on the other side of the backyard. It's really pretty though, and the hummingbirds will love this plant, and it's drought tolerant, so win-win for everybody. And this California fan palm, again, just does so good out here in the summertime. It gets up to 115 degrees. Last summer, it was 115 for almost 2 months straight. And so if I had to recommend any plant or tree to anybody out here in the desert, that's the one. And here I have a hibiscus, a red darling hibiscus. And all the leaves fell off of it, and it's kind of growing back, but it looks pretty sparse. And I put a drip line to it to make sure that it's getting watered every day. So, I mean, it is growing, the leaves are growing on it, but we'll see what happens to that. And there I have a Bismarckia. This is just a baby, and I am very aware of that. I'm really excited because this tree, little tree, it looks like a little bush right now, but I've seen how big these things get, and I'm really excited about this one because it's doing well. And I water it about once a week, and it does good, but it grows very slow also, so I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, considering I'm trying to get shade in the backyard. Here I have a pygmy palm, which I'm pretty sure is going to die. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is dying. It did originally have 2 trunks on it, and I cut that one off, and it just hasn't done well. Every summer, it just seems to do worse, and so I'm probably going to take this out and replace it. And here I have another California fan palm that I got. I love the one I have, and so I wanted more because they do so well out here and they're so low maintenance. This one has finally started to wake up and start growing. And here is a blue bonsai jacaranda. It has grown ever since I last took this video. It's actually grown quite a bit. We did just have a couple of days of really good rain, and the plants were so happy with that. So this is doing good here so far. I haven't really run into any issues with it yet, except for when it was cold. It turned a little bit yellow and brown, but ever since it's warmed up, it's been growing more and it's more green than ever. So doing good so far. Blue bonsai jacaranda. And another solar lantern that I have there. And there I have another Tacoma. I don't think it's a fire bell, or bells of fire, I think it's called. I think it's like a mix between the two, but I'm not sure. It's also a really good plant. Same thing as the other plant I showed you with the yellow flowers on it. Very drought tolerant, and I hardly water it at all. It gets rainwater and it's fine. Even out here in the desert where it doesn't rain much, it's just thriving. So I would definitely recommend this one also. If you're wondering or curious to find plants and trees that will survive out in the desert, it does really great. And here's a pygmy that I got for a major steal at Lowe's. It was sitting by itself and it looked kind of ratty. It had old leaves on it that it really just needed to be cleaned up, but there was nothing really wrong with it, and I got it for super cheap. And it was the only one around, and there was no price tag, and I got lucky, I guess. And so I put it in, and I do have to water it quite a bit because it's right in the middle of the backyard, and that's where the sun hits the hardest during the day. So we'll see how it does during the summer. Hopefully it makes it. But it's doing good so far. And it's got new growth coming out all the time. I think there I'm counting like 5 new branches that have come out. They just haven't spread yet. And over here I have some sort of tangerine bush of some kind. This was already in the backyard when I got this house, and I left it. I tried to trim it, and I think I stunted it because I cut the chopped branches. And I have a lantana underneath it that has yellow flowers. And I also have another Washingtonia Folifera, California fan palm, because again, I love this palm tree so much, and it does so well that I wanted 2 more, and that's what I did, because I hardly actually have to water these. Like, this has white tips on it, and that tells me that it has gotten too much water, and I think it's still trying to wake up since I planted it. It's almost summer now, and it's still not really growing a lot. But just for comparison, there's the first one I put in, the second one, and this one. So it'll be interesting to see how this backyard looks in another 3-4 years for sure. And I have another pygmy here that I brought another drip line to. I decided on after a rainy day that I was going to bring a line to this pygmy because it wasn't getting enough water, because I was hand watering it, but it just didn't look happy. So I put a line to it, and it's doing better. And this is another exciting new plant to the backyard, a Canamusifolia. This thing is already a monster, and they're expected to get to, I think it said 6 to 8 feet tall, maybe even taller. So yeah, it's already grown over 3.5 feet since I planted it a few months ago. So this thing is going to be massive, I can already tell. And it almost looks like a Incente banana plant. So there's another little leaf coming out there. And I mean, this thing has grown so much even since I took this video. It's taller than the light that's there. And here's a mule palm. This is where I used to have another Mexican fan palm that died. So I put this one here. And I've struggled with this area because the drip line just never seemed to work right. The water wouldn't come out. And so I got a gardener to come over, and he fixed that. And I put in another Mexican petunia underneath it that's doing really well also. And over here I have a rainbow euphorbia, or otherwise known as ascot rainbow. It looks really good, but I don't know if I want to keep it here because it's pretty small, and I don't know if I like it, but we'll see. And then I have a banana plant here that I don't know is going to survive the heat out here. I did put it in this location to protect it because that side of the yard gets more shade throughout the day because it's right next to the fence and the sun goes behind it. And there's the other Tacoma yellow bells, and I have another little banana plant that I put there. That wasn't a planter, but I put it in the ground and it really hasn't grown much. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm hoping that the Tacoma plant protects it during the summer. And here's another pygmy that I have had here since I got this house. It's one of the first few plants that I put in the backyard. And it grows kind of funny, I think because of where it's at in the backyard. If I look at it from behind, you can tell the leaves kind of tend to go forward, like facing almost southeast. And maybe it's because the location and the way the wind comes through in the backyard, they kind of grow out a certain way. So I don't know. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it means it's sick or anything. I think it's just the way it is. And here is another corner of the backyard. I have 2 planted canna lilies over here, and I have a whole little seating area with a table and more solar lights because that's kind of the better option, I think, considering I don't really have any plugs back here. I can't put in any fountains or anything really. And so I have a Portulacaria variegata, and I have a bird feeder, and that is a solar bug zapper up there, and it works great. And over here I have that little square box as a solar light. It looks kind of modern and funky, but it actually gives off a lot of light during the summer. And that's that corner. And here next to the canna lily, and this whole strip here is all the succulents that I have put in the ground. A lot of these have already been in the ground for a couple years, and like this Portulacaria here, I think it's a macrophylla, and there's the cactus that I put in with the little green stone that was in that planter in that other video I had with the glued rocks on top of the soil. And it's been doing really well and growing quite a bit, so that's a plus. And I have a petalanthus there that was in a planter I took out, and a mangave and a piloceras, and here is a sunflower that started growing out of this little cactus that I put in the ground. And it actually grew to almost 4 feet, and the flower has already bloomed, which is crazy. And it looks beautiful, and I'll try and put in a photo of that right here. And here's another Portulacaria macrophylla. It's a really good ground cover plant. It's also good for the environment. I've read that these Portulacarias help to absorb. It absorbs carbon from the air, so I definitely wanted to implement as many of those in the yard as I could. And then I have a mangave there with euphorbias and aeoniums, and I have another succulent here that I just kind of threw in, and I kind of have a bad feeling it won't survive, but I'm hoping with these other plants around it to protect it, it'll help. So we'll see how that goes. Another petalanthus, aloes. These are plants I had in planters, and I put them in the ground because they look like they were outgrowing them. So I put them in here, and there's another aeonium. And there is a euphorbia zigzag, I think it's called. Pretty cool plant, really funky looking. I'm kind of attracted to plants that look weird. And then another petalanthus, it's a different variation of it. And an aeonium and another succulent there. I'm not sure what the name of that one is. And that is the whole strip of the plants there. Here I planted a mammy croton with some flowers around it, and I've been keeping it in the shade. And it's been doing really good. All those green leaves on it are new growth since I planted it. And this plant and my dog wanting my attention. And there's a solar light that I put in there, and it looks really cool at night. You see those circles that are on the light, they reflect onto the ground. It looks pretty neat. And it looks pretty nice at night when all these solar lights come on. I might put in a video or two or a picture or something to show you what it looks like at night. But yeah, this mammy croton's doing good. I had one before, but it didn't do well, so I thought maybe if I put this one in more shade, it would do better, and it has. And here I have a lady palm that I've had for a few years, and it has a few leaves that are a little bit crunchy looking. So luckily it doesn't really affect the plant. They're just old leaves, I think. So there is a yucca plant that I've had in my house for, I don't know, 2-3 years maybe. I had it originally in that planter over there, and I transferred it over to a bigger one because this thing is massive, and it was getting hard for me to carry it into the shower to water it, and I didn't really want to spill dirt in the shower pan, so I said, okay, I'm going to take it outside because it's just a lot to manage and deal with indoors. But it's a cool plant, and it's doing good outside. And here I have some cuttings of a pencil cactus that I have. And I don't know if they're going to root or not, but we will see about that. I had a whole stack of cuttings on the seat over there behind. And finally I just said, you know what, I need to just pick a few good ones and put them in planters and see if they root. And so that's what I did. And we'll see what happens with those. And I have a canna lily here. If you don't know already, I'm a massive fan of canna lilies. They've been doing so well out here. They live all year round, and I don't have to overwinter them at all because of the climate out here in Arizona. And here's a bamboo plant that I don't know what's going on with it. It has new growth here on the bottom, but it looks kind of unhappy up top. And I don't know if it's because I moved it or if I did something to it. I'm not sure. And here's my little area here. Looks kind of messy. And I've been currently putting up another canopy, which is almost done. And it's providing more shade over here, but I don't think I'm going to leave it there permanently. And here is another little makeshift planter fountain thing that I was trying to make. But I don't really like the way it looks because I got the coral and the sandcastle at Goodwill, and I wanted to display them in some sort of fountain, but all I have in here is rocks and planters with it, and I don't really like it, and I want to be able to put water and little solar fountain in it, so I don't know. I'll figure that one out another day. And I have another pencil cactus cutting over here that is actually doing good, I think. It's probably rooting. It does get a lot of water. So, I don't know. We'll see. And I have cactus pups over here. And they came from a mother plant that I have in the backyard that grows pups like crazy. And over here I have a planter with sticks on fire and a Portulacaria minima and a giant seashell that I got also at a Goodwill, because for some reason they like to sell shells at Goodwill. I don't know, but there's no beaches around here, so that's my only alternative. And here's a planter of lantanas that I transferred from that planter over to this one. And I didn't mean to do Laker colors. I didn't think about it until after I put it in, but it's still pretty and it smells nice. And there's some more pups from the same cactus as the other ones that I showed you behind me. And there's another pencil cactus cutting that I'm pretty sure is rooted, which I still haven't looked at because, I don't know, these you can kind of neglect and not really pay attention to. I'm pretty sure that one's rooted because the whole planter lifted up when I try to pull it out, so that's good. And here I have 2 lantanas and a pygmy palm in the corner here that have been growing so much during the spring. And I have the cactuses behind it and another Portulacaria. But yeah, this pygmy palm this is the second year it's had seeds. And I've had this pygmy for, I want to say over 4 years. If that, I'm not sure, but it's the second year that I've seen it grow seeds out, so that's interesting. And I love these lantanas because they are multicolored. And there's the mother cactus of all those pups that I was showing you, and she has a couple more coming out, and she's living her best life and doing her thing. And here's a Mexican fence post, 2 I should say, that have grown so much since I put those in. And there's a Portulacaria afra, the first one that I planted, doing good, and a pencil cactus. And I have a little arrangement of succulents here with aloes and sedums and euphorbias and a desert rose and rocks and weeds everywhere. And I put an arbor over it because this area does get hit by the sun during the day pretty hard. So I'm hoping this helps during the summer. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. Here I have a Canna kaleidoscope that I recently just got that I wanted to show, that I'm super excited about. And here is an updated video of the Canna musifolia. Is showing here how I water it. I haven't run a drip line to it. I eventually want to, but the ground is so hard to dig into that I have to wait for a rainy day or find a way to soften the dirt, basically. But this is how big it is now. It's got 2 stalks on it, and it's growing like a weed. And here, I wanted to give a little bit of a glimpse of what it looks like at night. I love coming out here at nighttime because of all the lighting that I've put out here, all the solar lights. I don't know, it just, to me, it gives off a calming feeling when I go outside and the sun sets and all the solar lights are on. I didn't want this backyard to look so perfect and so I just kind of made it my own in that way. And I wanted to say thank you to everybody that watches these videos and likes and subscribes and comments. I appreciate it a lot. And until then, I will see you again soon. Thank you again for watching.